Sunday marks 25 years since Flight 427 fell from the sky above Hopewell Township, Beaver County, during a routine flight from Chicago to Pittsburgh. A local couple was among the 127 passengers and 5 crew members killed when the Boeing 737 nosedived into a wooded hillside. It took 4.5 years for federal investigators to determine that a valve stuck and jammed a rudder, causing the devastating crash. The local couple on board that flight was Anthony and Paula Rich and their unborn child. They were returning home from visiting the family's village in Italy with Paula's parents when the two couples got separated for their flight home. In the days leading up to September 8th, I sat down with members of both the Raschuti and Rubino families as they reflected on the time that's passed. And while their loss will always remain fresh in their minds, so much too has changed.
It feels like it was yesterday, but then at times it feels like forever, because you crave hearing their voice and just being with them.
They were this young, good-looking couple, very vibrant, and they died suddenly.
And as time goes on, you know, you don't miss them any less.
Still think about them and still can't talk about it too much.
You go through the grief of 25 years. You go from grieving what you lost with them, the memories you had with them, to grieving what you didn't get.
More time, more memories. While the years continue to go by, the tragedy of Flight 427 remains for the Raschuti and Rubino families.
I'm very proud of the fact that we have maintained our strength and our faith through this whole thing. It was so difficult.
We're okay because we have each other, and we have that bond.
A bond that's only grown over time. But it all started with a beautiful love story. Anthony Rich and Paula Rubino were set up on a blind date, thanks in part to Anthony's mom, Phyllis, who, after running into Paula at YSU, suggested Tony give her a call.
2 weeks later, he calls me and he said, "I'm coming home, I have a date." So that started it.
As the little sister, I was the spy, you know, the go-to. So she's back getting dressed and getting ready, and I go back, I'm like, he's here, and he's really cute, you know. And she goes, okay, what's he have on? We know this and that, because it was kind of a blind date for them. They hadn't seen each other in years, but so immediately when she walked out and he saw her, like, sparks flew.
What followed were more dates, an engagement, and wedding. This shows the couple's first dance. The families were gracious enough to share it with us years ago, when they first opened up about the loss of their loved ones. None of the 132 people on board Flight 427 survived.
When Paula and Tony were engaged, the Raschutis were generous enough to give Paula a beautiful gold and diamond cross bangle bracelet. And after the crash, it was one of the only things that was found.
In 5 pieces, each of the crosses still intact, which Phyllis later had made into charms, one for each of the women in both families.
It's part of Paula that, you know, we always have with us. So I don't believe that was an accident. I believe that was something that was meant for us to have.
You know, you do like to think that there's some greater force out here connecting us all, and something like that really, you know, it makes you wonder.
Some other personal items were also found among the wreckage, including Tony's wedding ring.
I've said before that I don't think there's been a day that's gone by for the last 25 years where we haven't thought of them, and this helps. And they also had found his wristwatch.
One that Paula's sister Joanna remembers Tony being extremely proud of.
He always wore an aviator watch, you know, obviously because he was a pilot. And so he got this new watch and he was all, you know, proud of all this technical stuff it did. And so I would joke around and he'd walk in and I'd say, you know, I really need to know what the altitude is right now. And he would look and go, I'm so glad you asked.
Especially every time we fly, I wear the watch as sort of my guardian angel, that they're with us every time, protecting us.
Today, Paula and Tony are also the guardian angels of their 17 nieces and nephews. 15 of them that make up an entire generation that never got to meet their aunt and uncle, but know them very well. Many of them, their namesakes.
That I think about often. I just think of all these children that came after Paul and Tony passed away. And I often wonder how many kids would they have had.
Our kids all know who they were and what type of people they were and things that they did.
We remind them, oh, that's something Aunt Paula would have done, or that's something Uncle Tony would have loved, or they would have been so proud of you, or, you know, say a little prayer to Aunt Paula and Uncle Tony, they'll help you out.
For each of these families, it's been incredibly important to share the love that Paula and Tony had for them with our community after they passed. From their grief, they say 2 positive things emerged: a strong, continuing bond, and the Rich Center for Autism on the campus of Youngstown State.
We weren't going to just shelve it and put things away and put those memories away.
This community came around us so well, and because of that, the Rich Center came about. The money that the people donated so generously was used to start the Rich Center.
We are delighted to form this partnership with Youngstown State University.
We are very, very proud of the fact that the Rich Center, which was established in 1995 in their name, has been able to help countless children and families navigate through the diagnosis of autism. It helped our son Christopher. It continues to help many, many children in this area, this region.
Over the years, the Rich Center has done a beautiful job of dignifying the autism community here in the Valley, reassuring families that no matter where their child falls on the spectrum, they are loved, heard, and understood.
People that you love, hold them dear, because you never know from day to day what's going to happen. And these 2 were coming home from Italy from a wonderful family trip, and you know, who would have ever thought, you know, that something like this would happen? And we're not the only ones. I'm convinced that we don't get off this earth unless we have some major challenge, and this was our major challenge. And so, you know, you deal with it and you try to make a positive out of a negative, and I hope that's what we've done. I hope we've helped a lot of families in the community.